Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. Y'all know that I'm a big fan of Battletech, right? Not only the tabletop game, but also the video game that was published a few years ago. We did a video on that kind of recently. And I also grew up playing Mech Assault as a kid. Absolutely loved this franchise. And yet somehow, the MechWarrior series is not something I've ever really dabbled in, at least until recently when I was gifted a copy of the game, and it has intrigued me enough that I think it's worth doing a quick video on this, especially because this game's about to become more relevant since a new DLC will be releasing in a little less than a month called The Dragon's Gambit. Could be pretty fun. Anyway, I'm going to show you how this game works. Let's jump into some single player. Now, if you own only the base game, you're only going to have access to the campaign, and I weep for you because, well, I hate to say it, but the campaign simply is not that good. The storyline is very basic and kind of generic and overplayed. You play as the son of a mercenary captain who dies very early on in your career. You swear vengeance, and along the way of defeating that organization that got him killed, you discover more about your father's shady business dealings that would have led to have a hit on him, and so on and so forth. Okay, fine, that's not so bad, except it doesn't follow the game up with particularly good voice acting or level design or really anything. The campaign is just outright disappointing, I'm afraid to say. However, if you do have the first DLC, you can at least unlock career mode. And career mode, in my opinion, is where you get to have some of the most fun. You start off with a lance with 4 mechs, and you get to start in several different locations and kind of forge a name for yourself. Now, if you only have the first DLC, you'll only have access to a few of the different houses. You'll start off in the year 3015, and you can see the different starting mechs you're going to have depending on which house is your sponsor. That could be House Steiner, Merrick, Liao, Karita, and Davian. And there's also the Free Rasselhague Republic. You can see, by the way, different starting locations for each of these houses. If you have subsequent DLCs, there are some other choices, though. Legend of the Kestrel Lancers starts you in 3026 with a lot of pretty darn good mechs. The Call to Arms starts in 3025, also with a different lineup of mechs. Or the Rise of Rasselhague starts in 3031 with a lot of really powerful mechs. It just kind of depends on what you want to go for. That said, if you're new to the game, I always recommend starting in the year 3015. Question is who to start with. Good news is you're a mercenary, so you're not really married to anyone in particular. You're going to fight on multiple sides of the war. But it does matter in the sense that you really do want to pick one faction and grind out some reputation with them first, and then you can kind of start spreading your wings and doing whatever you want once you're sitting on massive stacks of cash. I'm going to choose House Steiner, mostly because I am a sucker for the so-called Steiner Scout Lance, which is a little bit of tongue-in-cheek humor because the Steiner Scout Lance is actually just a whole load of assault mechs. Why have tactics and scout when you can just level everything with the heaviest mechs around, right? Now, the game does give you a bit of the background story for the lore of Battletech. I'm going to assume you have at least a cursory knowledge of this. Star League used to exist, broke up, now there's a bunch of warring factions, succession wars, blah, 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 blah. The important thing is we want mechs and we want to blow stuff up. I guess we're going to go ahead and name a quick mercenary company. I'll call this one Void Eclipse, because that's what I traditionally do. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the star map. Now, one really cool thing about MechWarrior 5 is the universe is pretty darn massive. There are many star systems that you will be able to enter if you so desire, and all of them could have various different contracts or conflicts, and some of them are going to be industrial zones where you can hire people or buy mechs and equipment, blah, blah, blah. We're starting off in this tiny little corner of the world right over here. Now, this red zone here and down here represents conflict zones. Conflicts means opportunity for money, so this is where we are going to make our name. Any systems that are connected by these little dashed lines here represent an industrial cluster. This is where you can hire mech warriors and where you can buy stuff. So if I want to go to, let's say, the mech market over here, we can see some of the different mechs that are currently available. Mostly just a bunch of cheap nonsense. We don't really care that much. If I want to go and hire some pilots, we can do that too. That said, I've already got 4 pilots, so I'm not going to worry about it. Your mech warriors have different skills associated with them, which is going to affect their ballistic energy and missile weapons, not to mention they have dodge and armor chances and heat reduction, which is very, very important, but we'll come back to that in a little bit. I'm going to talk a bit more about the management of your mercenary company in a little bit. First, let's go ahead and see if we can find ourselves some sort of a contract that is offered by House Steiner and doesn't target any of the other important factions, because I want to build up some good reputation. So this, for example, is a perfect option. Let's go ahead and travel to this system. It's going to cost me a bit of sea bills, which is our currency, and 13 days in order to travel to that system. And now we get to watch ourselves VoIP right back in. Now, if this looks familiar to something like Battletech, it should, because I mean, this is a pretty well-established franchise at this point. You're not going to have as much artistic creativity. There's a lot of known mech chassis, and the style of the game is pretty much set in stone. So now that we have arrived at this planet, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some contracts. This is the only one available. Head off the attack. This is a battlefield mission type, which means we're going to be fighting a lot of enemies. And if you want to confirm this right here, we can see that we would gain a bit of reputation with House Steiner. We have some negotiation points to try and get a better contract. The higher your reputation is with any particular employer, the more negotiation points, and therefore the better the payout you're going to receive. This is why it's so helpful to grind out reputation with a particular faction early on, because then you can start rolling in millions of C-bills, and that's going to set you up to get the best possible mechs and then launch into the larger known galaxy and start fighting for whoever you want. I'm going to go for extra C-bills and maybe just a bit of extra salvage shares. Sure, why not? We'll confirm that. And it looks like we are going to have myself piloting a Griffin. We're going to have a couple of Commandos and a Locust. Now, you might look at this and say, all right, we're good to go. And the answer is yes. I will warn you up front, I think the chance of one of my mech pilots dying is relatively high, but I'll explain a bit more about that in a little while and how we can counter that. All right, I am ready to launch. Now, you might notice something right away. Hey, look, this is all in first person? Yes, unlike games like Battletech, which takes these mechs in turn-based combat, in the MechWarrior franchise, everything is live action. Right then and there, you are piloting the mech, ideally in first person. You could swap, but like, why would you do that? And you're gonna go and fight things yourself, which is pretty awesome. So look at me go. I am piloting a giant Griffin mech. Awesome sauce. Now, this game is run in tank control mode, so my legs operate independently of my chassis, which I can swerve around like so. If you're not used to playing with tank commands, admittedly, this can be a little bit difficult to work with, but I think you get used to it relatively quickly. So let's see. I am looking for enemy targets. There's one right over there. All right, I see an enemy mech coming in. Let's zoom on in and see if we can hit this guy with some of our lasers, maybe launch off a few long-range missiles. Do a bit of damage to this sucker. I want to take this guy out. Come on, burn for me, you fool! All right, there's going to be more targets in here somewhere. Now, in this game, you should always be moving. It doesn't matter if you're in sniper mode or what. You should pretty much never stop doing whatever you're doing. Keep moving, be a hard target to hit. In the bottom right, you can see that I have an arsenal of different weapons at my disposal that are set to different groups. I've got a large laser, I've got a couple of medium lasers, and I have some long-range missiles. We're going to be firing these all off. My goal right now is simply to leg my opponent, because that's a very effective target in pretty much any MechWarrior game. Destroy the head or the chassis or both of the legs, and your enemies generally are going to die. Very, very good. Hey, that guy is over there. I'm going to launch some missiles. Pew! Okay, there we go. This guy should not last for too much longer. Come on, if I can't hit him now, I'll just get him with lasers. Fine, lasers it is. There we go. I don't think there are any more mechs around that I know of. That could certainly change pretty quickly. Now, of course, there are different types of weapons in this game, right? So you've got your ballistic weapons, like your AC-5s and 10s. You got your lasers, which I'm already using right now, and of course you've got your missiles, which can be in short range or they can be in long range. The long-range missiles are unfortunately kind of difficult to work with. They have a minimum range to work with. And if you're going to be brawling with your opponents, well, that's just not going to work out very nicely for you. So yeah, unfortunately, they're a little bit difficult to work with. Now, what this leads me into is certain types of weapons, unfortunately, are really going to screw with the AI. You may have noticed that we have a couple of small companions who are wandering around with me. These are my Lance, and they are controlled by AI pilots who are, unfortunately, kind of stupid. Long-range missiles are going to take a little while to target lock. The AI is constantly moving and prone to walking into walls and breaking said target lock. Guess what that means? It means your AI companions are not going to be very good for using things like long-range missiles. They also really love to run into their maximum range for their shortest range weapons, so like a machine gun and stuff, which can mean that they are going to run in and get turned into a bloody pulp, because they really should not be running right next to a giant mech with their tiny little guys, like they kind of are right now. Yeah, so the result is your AI companions are a liability more often than not. And the number one complaint that people have for this particular game is you will have to spend a lot of time reworking your AI companions and building mechs that are deliberately inefficient, but are designed to take advantage of not exactly a stupid AI, but a very simple AI, a liability AI. And that's kind of unfortunate. There are literally entire guides that have been developed for this game, especially for dealing with the AI more than anything else. Really weird, not the sort of thing you want to see in a game like this. And yet, that's what we're left with. The good news is, this game does have a relatively active modding scene, and there are some mods that can improve the stupid AI. So if you're looking to get some slightly better pathing and slightly better weapon usage, that's going to be an option for you. Alternatively, you can always just go ahead and throw in a whole load of more weapon variety or mech variety and so on. A lot of cool stuff that you can do. The modding community is great. Of course, if you're playing on console, well, too dang bad you should have been playing on Steam, you dummy. Now, I do have some jump jets, so I should be able to get over this wall. We'll take out that tank, and boom. All right, kill quota has been reached. Now we just need to get to the extraction point. Of course, we could destroy extra enemies if you want to get extra payout, but I'll be honest, I don't think that's really going to be worth my time right now. And we'll move on into the next one, hopefully with a bit more reputation, which means more money in the long run. Now, overall, that mission went pretty darn well. It was very easy. We didn't run into any really big, scary targets. Whenever you do complete a mission, you start building up your mercenary company's reputation. The higher the reputation is, the more people are going to be looking for your services, and the more they are willing to pay you. I get to walk away with 462,000 C-bills and 40 reputation in total. Now I get to use some of my salvage points to lay claim to a few things. I cannot, unfortunately, lay claim to the Javelin that was scrapped over here. Javelin actually being a halfway decent starting mech, but oh well, not for me. I'm just going to go for, let's say some raw money, maybe an extra medium laser. I don't really care about taking the machine gun. Let's just go ahead and grab all this and, whatever. All right, fine. This is all we're going to get. Then we get to take a look at the mission complete stats. You can see here that the skill for a lot of our pilots goes up based on their performance and if they were able to get any kills. And if they did damage with different weapon types, they get some experience. As they level up, they do more damage. Hooray! So with that done, let's go ahead and hop into our hangar and take a look. Now, this is something I do really enjoy about MechWarrior 5. Being able to walk in first person amongst your mechs is obviously kind of cool. And then in between fights, you actually can see some of the scoring that was done onto the metal here. I mean, this is actually pretty awesome. Now let's talk a little bit about the management of your mechs, because this is a key part of MechWarrior and actually one of the things that differentiates it from a game like Mech Assault, because Mech Assault does the same thing we just did. You get into big fights in levels, right? However, in this game, just like in Battletech, you do have to manage repairing all of your different mechs, and that does cost some money and take some time. You have to worry about paying the salary for each of your Mech Warriors, and even better than anything else, you can change the loadout of your respective mechs. So we can customize the crud out of things as much as we want to. Now that is legitimately kind of fun. One thing that's pretty much always important to do in a game like this is actually to try to max out your armor as much as you can. So something I will probably do is strip off at least a couple of heat sinks and max out the armor a bit more. If I can still fit one more heat sink on here, I will. That's still a little bit below my weight limit, but you know what? I'm okay with that. Survivability is going to be king. Let's go ahead and start work, and this is going to take a few days in order to work on this. All right, so everything is currently being operable over here. Let's go back to the home screen, and if you want to, what you can do is just go ahead and hit the timeline and start moving on to some next events. We're going to let a couple of days pass, get everything properly worked. Perfect. And now we are ready to move on to the next contract. So you can see here that in just a few days, and by a few I mean 80, the next payment to your crew is going to be due. We've got 3 million C-bills currently in the bank, and yeah, you want to amass a huge fortune. Maintaining your mercenaries costs money. Keep finding jobs, keep flying. So let's see if we can find ourselves some more targets. I do not want to be fighting House Steiner. That would be stupid. So let's see, over here in Gladnitsta. There we go, we can fight against some independents over here, and I guess I could fight between the periphery and the independents, and I don't really care. I don't like the idea of targeting the independents too much, though. Sometimes they have stuff I care about. We could continue to antagonize the periphery realms, though, and I wouldn't feel bad about that. There's 2 targets over in this area. Sure, let's go ahead and travel. It's going to take 20 days and 100,000 C-bills to make this transit. Oh, that's kind of a weird-looking planet. All right, contracts. What can we take? A political operative. We can do an assassination mission. There is a reduced visibility in this glacial map because of a snowstorm. Alternatively, visibility is great over here. Scrapyard and objective raid. You know what? Let's start with this one. I think that's going to be fine. Once again, I think I'll take some C-bills. And do I want salvage? Honestly, I think I'm going to take just raw C-bills this time around. Money, 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 money. Okay, yeah, I mean, that's a pretty decent-looking Scout Lance. I mean, yeah, they're all tiny little baby boys, but at least I get to pilot the big boy, the Griffin. Oh, this place is cheery. It is a scrapyard. They were not kidding. There's a lot of junk. So it looks like I am trying to complete some objectives at 3 different locations, so get to one, and we'll get to find out what the other ones are, I suppose. Detecting unidentified mechs. That sounds like the enemy is onto me, and we're about to get ambushed in some way or another. Hello, I see a little helicopter. Die! He's burned away. Well, he's not reporting our location anytime soon. Oh, there's some enemies over here. I see you brought along some stupid tanks. Have fun with that one, dingus. All right. Gotta say, this Griffin actually feels pretty good. I haven't piloted one of these before. Good balance of some decent weapons, some pretty decent armor, and speed. I feel like I'm actually chunking across the battlefield pretty well here. I also feel like the game needs to throw me at least a few more enemies to keep my interests. This tank ain't gonna do it. I don't really care about these tiny little tank guys. That said, even tank guys can actually be a threat. Hello, salvage. Let's go grab this. If you let the little light mechs or tanks get behind you, it doesn't matter how strong your mech is. If light mechs are able to get behind you and start just ripping through your back armor, you're gonna take a lot of damage. That's actually one thing that's kind of cool about MechWarrior 5, right? Because a lot of the big mechs that you're used to are in this game. You've got your Atlases and your Highlanders, you've got your King Crabs, you've got your Hunchbacks, you got a bunch of cool stuff, right? But then you got all these little light mechs, and in a game like Battletech, light mechs are usually dumb, right? Because while they may have the initiative and the mobility, at the end of the day, what you want are the big honkin' stompy mechs that can take out everything in their path. That's a good way to have fun with the game when it's turn-based combat. But when it's all in real time, like this game is, it's actually totally viable to play as a light or a medium mech and enjoy that extra mobility so you can outmaneuver your opponents and then take them down. I mean, if you want to build, let's say, a small little fire starter mech, load it with flamethrowers, and then take on, let's say, an Atlas and outmaneuver it, get behind it, and then just overheat the darn thing, you can actually take down an Atlas. Really hard for an AI to do, but actually viable for a player. So in a way, I would say that the MechWarrior franchise actually can give you a little bit more flexibility for the types of mechs you can play around with, instead of feeling like you should always play with, let's say, a lance full of Atlases in order to be competitive. That's not to say that there aren't still better mech chassis and stuff out there than others. At the end of the day, having really good precision damage is going to be awesome for either the headshots or taking out the legs of a mech. So what you want to do is, you know, go for one of those Highlanders that I was talking about. Man, if I could pilot one of those things, I'd be feeling pretty happy right about now. Whoa, 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 whoa! Artillery shots are not fun! Hold the phone. Okay, we need to try to take out some artillery posts, and I want to do that quickly because, well, I'd rather my AI companions aren't stupid enough to walk into the artillery fields like these. Good lord. All right, back up, let them do their thing. Boom, boom, boom. All right, charge, charge, charge. Yeah, I'd really rather not lose a Locust or a Commando mech because the AI is stupid enough to walk into artillery barrages like this one. Hold the phone, hold the phone. There we go, thank you. Yeah, so let's rush this down while we still can. Worst come to worst, if you use your jump jets, I'm pretty sure that you actually avoid any of the splash damage that you otherwise would have taken, so that's something you should probably be doing. That said, I'm not also totally convinced that my AI companions are smart enough to maybe use their own jump jets. Yeah, they're stuck on a cliff. Good, 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 good. You know what? I'll just take this on solo. I'm sure it's fine. Now, in the bottom left, you might have noticed that we do have a bunch of different components kind of outlined for your mech, just like in Battletech. Your mech is composed of several different major components, and each of those can house weapons or ammunition or whatever. And each one of those also has their own respective armor. Burn through the armor, you start doing hull damage, knock off pieces of the mech. You can destroy its ammunition, its weapons, or outright just like, you know, kill the pilot and stuff, which is ultimately what you're going for. So you do want to try to get as much armor as you can on here. I'm noticing, by the way, that I'm taking a fair bit of damage on, let's say, my legs, partly because I'm jumping around and taking too much damage that way. That's fine, though. That's fine. Hang on. Tanks. We can burn down a few tanks. Gosh dang it. Can you all stop throwing artillery at me? It's so rude. There's some artillery. I'm just going to run into it. Smash. There we go. Look, I am many tons of walking steel right now. If you think that I can't use my force to just start smashing into things willy-nilly, you got another thing coming. Guess just break this down. Or punch it. You know, that's another option. There we go. Punch. Bye. All right. One more artillery gun down, and two allies who are stuck in the distance because they couldn't figure out how to walk down a gosh dang garbage pile. Of course not. Also a helicopter. Love shooting those suckers down. Okay. I have not seen any enemies' mechs, though, so far, which feels a little bit weird. I feel like there probably should be some. Oh, there's one right there. Hello, mech. Okay, what do we got over there? An urban mech. Oh, an Irby. Hello, Irby. Can you, like, not be a thing while I'm actively getting shot at by artillery? Because that sucks. I'm going to try to take the legs out on this sucker. Oh, he's got flamers. All right, so he's trying to burn me out of house and home over here. Right, we're going to take a fair bit of damage if we don't try to stay away from that for a little bit. Now, at the bottom next to my map, you may have... hang on. Oh, dang it. You may have noticed that we do have not only a kind of a acceleration bar representing how fast I'm walking, but also on the right we have a temperature gauge. And if you ever get to a point where you actually overheat, well, congratulations, dum-dum. You are now going to shut down your mech, and it's going to take you a little while to reboot, at which point you are extremely vulnerable to your enemies, and that's a good way to get yourself killed. So try not to ever let that happen. That's actually one of the big problems with the AI in this game. Your companions are going to prioritize what weapons they fire off based on how much heat they have left. If you end up giving them weapons where they have, let's say, a lot of heat generation, well, then they're dumb enough that they'll just sit there and basically never fire their weapons. I mean, like, that literally can be a problem. So you actually have to choose weapons that are relatively, let's say, low in heat generation, or at least cool down very quickly, in order to actually get as much value out of your companions as you would like. Kinda dumb, but alright, fair enough. Alright, well, we've taken a little bit of damage thanks to some of that artillery. The repair bills are going to suck, but we have completed all of our objectives here, so unless there's any additional enemies that want to charge after me, I guess we go ahead and head to the extraction point. There's my handy-dandy dropship. Thank you very much. Come and pick me up. Let's go home and let's collect that dang payday. Kind of like so. 831,000 sea bills. Of course, a little bit more reputation is good. We are going to be making the Periphery Realms increasingly unhappy. We're almost the next level of standing here with House Steiner, which will mean more negotiation points, so I can get even better rewards as time goes on. And I am going to have to spend another 100,000 or so sea bills just to get everything repaired, so that was a little bit pricey, but overall not bad. We got a massive profit. So we could go ahead and repair our battle mechs. Now, if you're going to be repairing in a conflict zone, everything is going to take longer, and it's going to cost a lot more money. So sometimes what's worth doing is actually spend a few thousand sea bills to jump out of the combat zone into someplace relatively safe, or even better, go into an industrial zone if you can, and that makes everything cheaper and a lot faster. Of course, at the same time, you have to balance, well, that's 13 days of travel and 50,000 sea bills spent. How much am I really going to save? And the answer is, in this particular case, not enough to really justify traveling, so let's just go ahead and get everything repaired. Now that we have those repaired, let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about Loadout for the AI, because as I said, there are some known problems with the AI. So, long-range missiles are pretty much out. Never put those on an AI mech, no matter how nice they are. They just have a really hard time maintaining any sort of a combat lock. Short-range weapons are always going to be a bit risky, because you'd rather you have your enemy just kind of, your AI stick at a distance so they don't get themselves killed. So I look, for example, at these short-range missiles. It only fires off 2. They're not very good. They're unguided. They have a range of 270 meters. By leaving these on the commandos, I'm basically telling my AI companions, hey, go ahead and run within 270 meters and start doing as much damage as you feel like you can. However, depending on how much heat they're generating, they may only be firing off their lasers and never get around to this. So I've just made the AI stupider. By getting rid of these, we're actually changing the range over to the medium laser here, which is 405 meters. So that actually is going to be a little bit safer for them. Plus, we can pull off the weapon that we're probably not going to use and some ammo and try to max out some additional armor, greatly increasing their survivability. Lo and behold, this is actually somewhat usable. Yes, we lost some firepower, some DPS, but I'm not convinced we would have safely gotten a lot of that DPS. This still gets most of the value for a lot less risk. So I'm going to go ahead and start work on this. And we'll do the same with the other commando. Actually, this guy is just a missile boat. No. I don't know if I like that, but okay. We're kind of stuck in a situation where I've only got one energy hardpoint. If you don't know what I mean by that, by the way, every mech chassis does have hardpoints on them. Some can have, in this case, 2 missile weapons and 1 energy weapon. As you saw earlier, you had 2 energy weapons and 1 missile weapon. They're different variants of the same type of chassis. Well, I can't say I like that very much. We can see here this is a Commando 1B versus a 2D. That's where the variants come into play over here. What about my Griffin? What do I have on this sucker? We've got 3 energy weapons and we've got a missile weapon. Okay. How am I looking as far as my armor? Not very good, actually. My armor is kind of meh. My head is not very well armored, and my center torso is not very well armored either. I would like to get a little bit more out of this. I'm going to take off, let's say, one of these jump jets and try to max out just a little bit of extra armor with some freed out tonnage. Could get rid of more jump jets, could get rid of the heat sinks. I don't know. I mean, how much am I willing to get rid of in order to get more armor? Honestly, you should be always maxing out your armor and then just building up with whatever you've got left, but I'll start with this. This should be fine still. Okay, and then we can go ahead and take a look at the next contract. We were going to go for that assassination one. There is still a snowstorm going on. That's fine. Looks like we can get an extra 25% to any of our payouts over here. All right, well, we have an assassination mission, and assassination targets usually come in a mech, so maybe we can get some decent salvage out of this. I doubt it, though, because mechs do cost a lot of shares, but... yeah, well, actually, I take that back. 7 shares is not going to be worth anything. All right, forget it. More C-bills. I'd rather have 1,000,000 C-bills. Let's just go. Look, it's not that I don't want more and better mechs. All right, I do. I just know that even a halfway decent light mech is going to cost me like 11 salvage points almost at a minimum. So if I know I'm only going to get 7, then why waste my negotiation points when I can't get the big stuff? I'd rather just have money and go and buy a mech. Positive visual on targets. Really? I don't think I had visual of any particular targets over here, but if you say so... don't shoot at me, you stupid tank. Oh, there's the target, I think. Wow, he's coming right after me. All right, let's get him. I take that back. That's not the target. That's the target. Is that a freaking hunchback? It might have been actually a hunchback. Oh, if so, I'm taking on a much bigger class than I was expecting. Yep, that is exactly what that is. Hello, hunchback. All right, we're going to try to take down your legs. I always like the legging technique, although I prefer to call it kneecapping because I feel like that's more accurate to what I'm actually trying to do. I'm destroying this guy's legs so he can't move no more. Come on, you're barely limping, buddy. I know it, you're barely limping. Take out that dang leg. Goodbye. All right, and with that target down, if we now want to freaking run for it, we can. And as far as I know, there's no extra payout for hanging out over here. So we should probably go ahead and run. Actually, wait, that's my ship right there. Well, thank you. Super service. No, wait, never mind. That's not my ship. He just brought in some buddies. Ah! Right, screw this. I'm getting out. Oh, I just noticed one of my commandos died. Oh, Weber, he's dead. All right, he probably got a little bit too close to the hunchback. Yeah, that does happen. Your AI companions, like I said, are accident-prone and might just get themselves killed. So be ready to have to replenish your ranks periodically. Well, whatever. I reached reputation rank level 2. I'm still unknown, but I mean, I'm a little less unknown than I was before. Somehow got a smaller payout. That sucks. All right. But you know what? I did get to friendly with House Steiner, so I'll call that good. Okay, actually, amazingly, my pilot here isn't dead. My pilot is simply injured. 86 days before she will be up and running again. And of course, this commando got blown up pretty badly. It's going to cost a lot to repair. This was a very unprofitable trip overall. I'll tell you what, this time around, it's going to take so much money to repair, it actually is totally worth leaving this area and getting back into the industrial belt. So let's go to Florida, if you say so. Yeah, I think we'll end up going to a different system. But while we're doing that, let's go ahead and start the repair. And at least this is going to save me a couple 100,000 C-bills. So absolutely was worth leaving the conflict zone to go ahead and repair. Oh, hey, look, a new conflict zone opened up over here. Yeah, that's going to happen periodically in the former Star League. New problems are going to make themselves known. Could be civil war, could be little random things, who even knows. Yeah, there's another war zone contract. This could be good. All right, what's going on this particular map? Looks like we have some allies that are in danger. Let's try to help them out. Oh, hello, we have already found our first target. Hello, buddy, hi, pew, 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 pew. There we go, that assassin went right down. Boom, baby. The game does look pretty decent, I will give it that. For all the quirks and problems with MechWarrior 5, it looks pretty good, it feels pretty good. Again, it's just there's parts of it that really could have stood for a little bit of improvement. Storyline, scripting, voice acting, absolutely, but you know what? You're not really playing this game for the campaign, you're playing because you want to just run around the galaxy and cause some mayhem and get rich. Mostly, I think, yeah, it's just, again, at the end of the day, it's the AI. Any game that makes you choose to build suboptimal mechs in order to take advantage of flaws in the AI's programming, or rather its simplicity in its programming, just doesn't feel as good, man. But there's no way around it. That's just how it be. I do think there might be a, slight bug. Oh boy, definitely a bug. There's a tank underneath me somewhere, down over here. It's deep underground. Great. No, thanks for that. Yeah. Well, pretty sure it's literally impossible for me to finish this mission because of that. So we may have to restart? Yay. Oh, that sucks. All right, fine. Restart the dang mission. Ugh. Now, I guess I would be remiss if I went through this entire video and didn't mention that there was one other really redeeming factor to this game. And that is, you can play with your buddies, if you happen to have any buddies. If you can play as a lance of 4 different live people, you can imagine you can take on all sorts of really fun challenges. I mean, that could genuinely be quite fun, you know? One of your buddies decides to go ahead and play in some light mechs and really start playing Ring Around the Rosie. The other guy is a long-range missile boat that really does a whole load of damage at a distance. And you got a couple of big frontline bruisers and stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying. Like, that could be kind of a cool way to play the game. If I had the... Oh, great. There's somebody coming in to intercept me. A Vindicator. Oh, right. If I had the right kind of a lance where I could sit back and safely snipe these guys and just roll in... Wow, lots of extra money, I'd happily do that. This guy might actually be able to kill me with that PPC he's firing off. Right, we need to run. We need to freaking run. And Par is dead. Oh, for God's sake. All right, that's it. For vengeance! Take him down! Take him down! Ow! There he goes. All right. Yeah, I don't... I don't know if Par's actually dead, but, I mean, that guy just cost me a lot of money to now have to repair a gosh dang commando again. Notice, by the way, it's the commando with the really short-range weapons that is getting killed more reliably. And at least a couple of my people have been able to level up. Par is indeed very dead. Well, we didn't know him for very long. There we go. Oh, and my damage has exceeded my payout. Oh, yeah, good. There we go. This at least is something, but now I've spent a ton of money in travel, which is not looking great. So that ate up pretty much all my profit and then some. Boom. Ouch. Anyway, I think that might be a good place to end things here with MechWarrior 5. So is the game fun? Yes. I mean, if you enjoy playing the MechWarrior franchise and you enjoy tank-style games with that kind of movement and control, this is pretty cool. And I do honestly think that MechWarrior is great over something like Mech Assault because the management of your lance and your mercenary company is pretty cool aspect, right? I like being able to control the loadouts. I like having to worry about my pilots and their salaries and stuff like that. All very cool. And as you start getting more reputation, as you start rolling in all the C-bills and you find the big honkin' mechs, yeah, I can imagine the fun really gets going, especially if you do decide to start playing with some friends. But because, unfortunately, of the quirky AI and the very lackluster story, this game does have its drawbacks. Nonetheless, could be pretty cool, and with a new DLC on the horizon, I will be keeping an eye on it to see if anything really awesome gets introduced. Who knows? Maybe some cool Lost Tech mechs that I hadn't seen before. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, I'd ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time.